Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. My name is Leon Jones, and I'm going to get right into the topic. We're going to talk about America. And the title of this video is America is Resetting Itself Culturally, Politically, and of course in society. America is resetting itself politically, culturally, and societal. Give it to a third time so I can say it without stuttering a little bit. America is resetting itself culturally, politically, and societal. Now, what do I really mean with that? Well, I'm just going to give you a few bits of information while I have it up. It's basically a perspective discussed in contemporary discourse, often framed as a period of significant change, challenge, and reinvention rather than a single unified reset. There is deep political polarization, shifting societal values, and economic pressures. Well, here's what I believe is happening. Since the 60s, when it comes to culture, we've had the free love, we've had the feminism, we've had the civil rights movement, we've had a lot of polarization when it comes to politics. We've even had a shift going from Christian values to more secular values. If you look at the Black church used to be a very religious institution. The Black church had good pastors. In fact, before Martin Luther King took over as a pastor in Atlanta in the 50s, there was another pastor out there. In fact, there was a movie, and I can't remember the pastor's name, but James Earl Jones played in that movie. He was at the Atlanta church before Martin Luther King replaced him, and he was down with civil rights. But he didn't get the same respect that Martin Luther King did. But if you look at the era, which was conservative up until the 1960s, you look at your colleges. Your colleges were prestigious, they meant something. People dressed a little differently. In fact, individuals, when they went to ball games, they wore suits and dresses. And this is up until the 1960s. But now, if you look into today's society when it comes to business, you don't have to wear a suit. In fact, when I go for an interview, this is what I wear. I wear a nice polo shirt. Um, I just believe that suits are for the corporate world, and I don't work in the corporate world. Don't get me wrong, suits have their places, but I believe in being casual. But I'm not going to put everything on the suits, but you look at the different styles, because sometimes you have styles that actually repeat history. Now, back in the days when it came to the societal movements, particularly on college campuses, well, you had the peace sign, your hippies. Well, do we have hippies today? We absolutely do. These are the ones wearing all the blue and pink hair. And what I'm seeing today are more nose rings. And I'm seeing guys wear nose rings. I'm seeing guys wear earrings, piercings, something that I never saw before. And what I'm looking at, particularly in the younger generation, or we're going to talk about the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas, I'm seeing more and more rebellion. Now, what they're doing, they're rebelling. They're rebelling against the establishment. Now, when it comes to polarization, there is political polarization. And right now, it's a central theme, and that is the intense political divide with a diminishing center as both the Republican and Democrat parties shift toward the more populist and ideological extremes. This has led to growing disaffection within a two-party system and concerns about the functionality of democratic institutions. Some analysis describe this as an ongoing culture war that has largely subsumed politics or subsumed politics, creating a winner take all conflict over the nation's future. And if you look at what's going on right now here in 2026, you are going to see outright wars going on. And I'm talking about the war of information going on, a lot of lies, a lot of deception going on for the midterms. But I'm just going to put it to you like this. There is always a result. You have a lot of cultural shifting going on here. American culture right now is in a state of flux with ongoing debates about core values. You have individualism versus collective action. While individualism remains a dominant mindset, there is a rising acknowledgement of systematic issues like racism and a greater interest in collective action and community. Now, racism. Who's really bringing up racism? Well, you have a lot of your liberal whites and liberal blacks bringing up racism, and that's coming from the Democratic Party. Well, is that a new issue? No. That's just the Democratic playbook. In fact, if you look at the Democrats, they don't have anything that's worth listening to right now, no ideas. So what they're doing, they're utilizing racism, sexism, toxic masculinity, misogyny. They're using all of the cultural language to basically disavow what the president wants to do. Now, something you need to know. We're talking about this president who relieved Hugo Chavez in Venezuela. Now, Venezuela is where a lot of the oil is. Now, you're going to have some individuals out there when it comes to Venezuela, and they're going to say, well, Trump wants that oil. Well, yes, there is oil there. But the biggest thing with the Venezuelan oil, stop China from getting it. It's to put a stronghold on China. Yes, when we get some of that oil, we should be able to produce our own oil. But when you look at what is going on, Maduro was his name. In fact, Maduro was the one in 2020 who actually stole the election in Venezuela. Now he's been arrested. There was a bounty out for 5 million. Then it was increased to 15 million. Now it was 25 million. And it is 25 million now for his head. And now that they caught Doro, you have the liberals going crazy. Now, why are the liberals going crazy? And why are the black people going crazy? Because when I look at social media, the Venezuelans, they're celebrating freedom because the United States is going to run the country until a government can be installed. That's part of the reset. That's taken down a communist nation. But you have Americans right now on the liberal left, particularly your black females, some of your black males, a lot of your white females. The white liberal woman is one you need to beware of most of all. The white liberal woman is trying to destroy everything. And she's utilizing the black liberal woman to speak out on her behalf. And see, the white liberal woman really wants white supremacy herself. I hear the white liberal woman talking about, well, we want to get rid of ownership and we want to have communal properties. They want communism. Well, the country right now, Venezuela, that had communism under Chavez, under Maduro, they're celebrating some freedom. In fact, in that country, they had lines of people without food. They were going to the zoo eating animals because they couldn't get food. This is what communism does to societies. It basically kills off societies. You look at people like Mao Zedong, Mussolini. Well, Mussolini was a fascist. That's on the other side. But Stalin, Holbein, those guys, Putin, they're communists. Now, China is a communist country. Well, yeah, you can throw Fidel and Raul Castro in the mix as well. I believe North Korea, all these communist countries, Vietnam, these communist countries produce a lot of poor people. Now, right now, you're looking at clashes between generations. I'm Generation X. And you see younger generations now, they're showing signs of significant delusionment with traditional politics, with some expressing a loss of faith in peaceful democratic change and openness to alternative systems if the current one feels rigged. Well, you have a lot of the young ones, maybe the late millennials, the Gen Zs, and the Gen Alphas. They love people like Mandami because Mandami spoke their language. The language was communism. But a lot of these young ones don't even know what communism is. They never had to deal with communism. But why is it getting the attention of young ones? Well, the young ones believe that there's no fairness out here, which that's true. There is no fairness out here. In this American system, even though they're resetting, and what are they resetting to? That's the question. That's why I titled this video, The Resetting of America. Well, I believe what they're trying to do again is go back to where we had families. Now, will it go back to what was in the 50s and the 40s? No. But will there be some element of it? I believe so. And when it comes to popular culture here, there are discussions about a perceived decline in the quality of arts and entertainment, with some polls indicating Americans view the 2020s as a low point for popular culture, potentially reflecting a broader societal malaise. And then there's a lot of societal and economic pressures. And this is what's turning the young ones into communists, or they want democratic socialism, although they don't know what it is, because they believe that the economic inequality is a major factor in a national move with the majority of Americans, particularly the bottom 60% by income, struggling to afford minimum quality of life due to wages not keeping up with costs. So the economic distress combined with societal and cultural issues contributes to a sense of instability and a desire for a fresh start amongst some segments of the population. And when you look at the historical context, some commentators view the current period as part of a cyclical pattern of American history. In every 80-year reinvention or age of discord, where periods of stability are followed by times of crisis and reinvention. So the nation has basically faced significant challenges before, such as the Civil War, the Great Depression, and it emerged by expanding freedom and opportunity through collective action. Now, in essence, America is basically navigating a period of profound reevaluation and internal conflict with various groups and commentators proposing different visions for the country's future direction. Although that may be true, you still have some that don't want the change. They're resisting change. And they want the change to be like it was for the past 65 years, and that's the Democratic Party. See, the Democrats, from my humble opinion, when they had this bounty out for Maduro, and they've since then captured his wife and they captured him. Now, they utilized the Monroe Doctrine because you have Congress, particularly Chucky Schumer and Bernie Sanders, saying, well, Trump has to go through Congress to declare war. Well, there was no war. The president has up to 60 days where he can enact a conflict himself. Can't remember what the name of it is. There's the Monroe Doctrine. And see, what's happening now is there are things that are coming out, again, like the Monroe Doctrine, utilizing the National Guard to go in to help the police utilize law and order to basically make cities safer. But see, the Democrats don't want that. See, the Democrats like chaos. And if you look at going back to the black churches, well, when it comes to election time, guess who's at a black church? Every Democrat. Hillary was at a black church. Al Gore, he tried to sound like a preacher when he was at a black church. He tried to sound like a preacher when he was in front of the NAACP. Now, if you want to know something about the NAACP, the NAACP, the national organization, it is not a black organization. There were only two blacks in that organization. And this is what you don't learn in school. You're going to get a free education right here. Ida B. Wells and W.E.B. Du Bois. They were the two blacks. Now, the NAACP had some Jewish folk in that group as well. They wanted to try to take down, I believe, some white supremacy or use white supremacy through black suffrage. And see, again, this is what the white liberal has done to black people. They've convinced black people that white people are bad when white people are destroying themselves. Now, the cultural shift right now is you have the resistance amongst the left, thinking that the right is going to take everything away from them. When the right has basically, if you look at every TV show, now I'm watching one right now. If you have Netflix, about a guy named Spencer, who, and it's a true story, who played football. Well, there is a lot of wokeness in that. You have a black woman who's a kicker on a team in Crenshaw. You have a coach who is Latino coaching the Beverly Hills football team. That's wokeness. Now, I'm going to throw something at you. And this is really, nobody's mentioned that. I know Donald Trump said he did not want men because it was in the Olympics where a man, where two men won gold medals in boxing for beating up women. Okay, I agree. No men should be in women's sports. But what about women being in men's sports? I do not agree that women, they shouldn't be coaching men's sports. They shouldn't be refereeing men's sports. They shouldn't even be playing men's sports. So if it works one way, it should work the other way. Like the scouts, I believe the women should continue to have the brown, which they do. They have the brownies and they have the Girl Scouts, but the men have the scouts. So the men have to share everything with the women in terms of equality, but the women don't have to share anything with men, which gives them the delusion that we don't need men. It's all independent. That's the issue. What's happening is we want to take away everything that a man has gotten because women believe that they're left out while women have their own. And with this Venezuelan capture, I have to ask you black people out there, why the hell are you mad? I mean, you've been fighting for freedom, and now you're trying to lecture the Venezuelans for fighting for freedom? When a number of you black people out here, you've already been indoctrinated by white supremacy. Because white liberal tells you to bow down, you bow down. You're the buffer. And it's funny how a number of individuals, they like to get on social media and talk about politics. And many people were never interested in politics until Donald Trump ran. But right now you have the hate Donald Trump. You have individuals that want America to be better, and you have individuals who hate Donald Trump. The problem with the left is you look at the child care system. Now, I'm not blaming all of the Somalis, but there is fraud. And you had this 23-year-old Nick went in there to expose it. And now he has death threats for exposing the fraud. Well, we can go back to where the same thing happened during the Obama administration, where there was a group out there who exposed fraud. You see, what you have here is we do have a changing society. The problem is you have a lot of the old heads, they want to be stuck with what's going on right now. And they're indoctrinating some of the young heads. Young heads are being indoctrinated really by your colleges. And the problem with the colleges is the colleges aren't teaching. But going back to Maduro, Maduro could have been taken out by the Biden administration. Why didn't he do anything? In fact, if there was a Democrat in office, let me tell you something right now. I wouldn't be doing this video because it'd be the same old, same old. And you have some rhino Republicans out there too. And what it is with the president, this president is an activist president. I mean, he's doing what he says he's going to do. You don't have to like it. Some of it may not be right. But I would rather a person do what they're going to do or do what they say they're going to do instead of just getting out there on the campaign trail and promising. And see, this is what the Democrats do, is promise. And I can remember going to churches. Let me get into this black church. Because I used to call the black churches monuments of failure. Shout out to the late David Carroll for bringing that term to the forefront here on YouTube. And when I went to church, and we all had to go to church, even if we didn't want to go to church, we had to go to church. We had to dress up and go to church. But when I went to church, the women never wore pants. The women never wore booty shorts. The women never, ever, ever twerked. The church wasn't a club. The church was an institution of God. Now, I'm not saying it didn't happen. You got people like Jamal Bryant, who were brought in by Bishop Eddie Long. And see, the pastors, if you did something, they'd call you out. Now, they might not use your name, but they would call you out. But these pastors today, like Jamal Bryant, and they're talking about the dress that Jamal Bryant's wife wore. Jamal Bryant told Cam Newton that he had nice legs and he had his legs crossed. And see, that's the thing that I don't like either. See a number of men, even Gavin Newsom. These guys look like soy boys. They're crossing their legs. And don't cross their legs. Women cross their legs. You know, they have a dress because, of course, it's not good for them to sit with their legs open with a dress because some of them aren't wearing underwear, but some of them are. But it's not ladylike to sit with your legs open with a dress on. That's not feminine. And you see, with this culture change, what the feminists really want, they want a unisex society. Because the same way I see the women, particularly on the left, wearing blue hair and pink hair, I see the guys, the man buns, the earrings, the piercings. See, what the feminists don't want is they don't want attractive people because they're not attractive people themselves. They're rebellious. And in the Black community, it's a de facto matriarchy where a number of your Black people, your pastors, see, when we went to church, it meant something. Did we pay tithes? Yeah, we paid tithes. But these pastors, they found a way that they can live off of their congregation. And you don't have men in the church because men see what's going on. Now, everybody has mentioned this as well. So we got to keep on reinforcing it. And then they're lady pastors. Now, I know Joyce Meyer, she's an evangelist, but she tries to speak. I mean, we have a lot of money. You know, Creflo Dollar. I believe that he started going into the money from, I don't know, was it Kenneth Copeland, Billy Graham? Because a lot of your white evangelists had a lot of money. And they had a lot of money in religion. See, I believe in God, but I don't believe in organized religion because the organized religion now, they're letting everybody in, even the alphabet community in. Now, be what you want to be. But you have a number of individuals who are taking the word in religion and they're basically reshaping the word to use it as an excuse for the deviant behavior, saying God accepts all people. God does accept all people, but God doesn't accept all behavior. Now, reach down and say, well, that's my view. And well, the people who want to be right, they're going to say, well, that's your view. I have my view. No, that's the standard. You have the mainstream media. The mainstream media is going berserk, particularly over this Venezuelan president. But I don't understand this. The Venezuelan people over Maduro celebrating freedom. And I hope the Venezuelan people come over here to America and start teaching the Americans something about freedom. Because believe it or not, Americans are constantly fighting for freedom, but we got people inside who really don't want freedom. And it's the left. And when it comes to a lot of black families, this is why, and I'm going to be honest with you, why I don't have too much in common politically with most black women. Because most black women fall on the Democratic left. Or I don't have anything in common with most liberal white women. Now, the country black women who are conservative and they're thinking, who want some tradition, okay, I have something in common with them. But the problem is the liberals have had the mic for the last 65 years. They've had the media, they've had the government, they've had the public school system, they've had religion, and they've had the jobs. And when we deal with the media is nothing but a propaganda machine. In fact, the media is for people who are the low informed individuals. I mean, most of what I'm hearing from the liberal left is all regurgitated. And I don't even watch Fox News either. I don't trust Fox News. In fact, the only person that I will watch on Fox News would be Jesse Waters. I used to like Laura Ingraham, but anybody who's mainstream, I can't stand now because they're all the same. Bill Kristol, all of them. Karl Rove. You have all of these washed out, even Republican strategists who want to keep their name out there. Now, at least Gingrich out there, Newt Gingrich, he was former Speaker of the House. He still has real Republican views. He was from Georgia. But even the Republican Party and the rhinos, they're no different than the liberal Democrats. I mean, you don't have Democrats out there like Zell Miller, Scoop Jackson, Harold Ford. Those Democrats, you think about it, those Democrats that I just mentioned, they would be Republicans right now. Because that's what their message is. The Blue Dog Democrats, even Evan Bayh, he was the governor of Indiana. He was also a senator of Indiana. But his views as a Democrat aren't leftist enough. And the problem with the Democratic Party, they're going more and more and more leftist because they don't believe in freedom. And this is why we have to keep putting this information out. Now, I don't know how long channels like mine are going to be here on YouTube before some Democratic person in charge or some individual who's a Democrat who's working for YouTube and want to cancel everything that we men do. Because the Democrats really don't want freedom. And what people are doing to the Venezuelan people who are fighting for freedom. I mean, can you imagine again? To eat food, you got to go to the zoo to get animals, to eat animals. This is what was happening down there. Lines. This is what totalitarianism will bring it. And we have Americans over a dictator. I don't hear them talking about Putin like that. They're talking about Putin like Trump is a friend of Putin. But yet, you have Americans, liberal Americans, this Maduro character, they're sympathizing for a communist, a socialist. Meanwhile, they're derailing the people's fight for freedom. Now, freedom is worth having. And the worst people I'm seeing up here, and this is where we're going to have the changes. You see, we're used to seeing all this woke stuff. Well, see what the Democrats want to do. They want to bring in their activist judges to keep their woke stuff. That's what they want. You see, this election in 2026, the Democrats really don't have anything. They never had anything. It's to be obstructionist. And this is what the Republicans need to do. You really want to change the culture more? I'll tell you how you can change the culture with politics. Take a lot of the money out of it. Nobody should be able to donate anybody's campaign Campaigns should be able to raise the money themselves. If you take all of the money out, and something else, have voter ID laws. See, the Democrats don't want voter ID laws. Why? Because they want illegals to vote, so illegals will vote Democrat, like in California. Now, I did see something else that I've never seen. Well, I believe Trump in 5 states, it was California, New York, Minnesota, Illinois, and there's one more other state. I don't know if it's Oregon. He's already cut funding for social services in 5 states. That's a change. Biden wouldn't have done it. Biden just let a lot of things slide. And I'm going to say here in 2026, it's going to be a change in the economy. See, the Democrats are saying everything is high. Well, Trump has been in almost a year. You got to give it some time. Now, if the prices continue to go up, even if you put a Democrat in there, the Democrats want everything to be expensive. See, what the Democrats really want, they talk about affordability. They want everything to be unaffordable because the Democrats' job is to cause chaos. And now that Mandami is in office, I want to see what he's really going to do. Because he's still promising those government-run grocery stores. Well, there was one in Kansas City that was a government-run grocery store. Kept on getting robbed. Didn't work. Was it down? And see, these youngins out here and so many old heads believe that the way to equality is to redistribute wealth or eliminate individual property owners. They want government to solve all their problems. Well, what government is doing, government is solving their own problems they created, like debt. They talk about debt. There's always been debt, and there will always be debt. Spending is out of control, no matter who's in power, because not the president, the individuals who are getting a lot of money are your Congress people. And it's just not on the federal level, but it's on a local level. But let me go back to Maduro again. What's Trump going to get now that I believe it went from 25 to $50 million, if I'm not mistaken? So Sweet Chocolate TJ gave me the numbers. And something else that you got to see. Talk about a change in culture. Look at sports. Now, I'm a Baltimore Raven fan. And Baltimore lost to Pittsburgh the other day. Have to bring this up too. This is another reset. Well, even if you had a coach, won a Super Bowl, got Lamar Jackson got like a $210 million contract. He's already getting $185 million. But his performance has been suspect. He performed well in 2019, 2023, 2024. But he failed to deliver from 2020 to 2022 and this year. But I'm bringing out the Baltimore Ravens because they are an established organization. I remember when they fired Brian Billick. He had won the Super Bowl. And in this culture today, no matter how long you've been on the job, if you're not performing a job, now because of the Rooney Rule, Mike Tomlin is still with the Steelers. He got a saving grace because he was 10-7. He hasn't had a losing season in a long time, but he can't win a playoff game. And it's going to be a matter of time before coaching changes hands in Pittsburgh. But a reset is needed. And that's what's going on here in America. I had to bring the Baltimore Ravens up because they needed a reset. Yeah, they kept on running the same plays, doing well during regular season, had some low seasons like this year, blowing 15-point leads. So now they're going to get a new coach. Now, is John Harbaugh, who was a special teams coach for the Philadelphia Eagles, is he going to find somebody? Sure. But something you need to understand about football as well, is I got to bring my sports into it as well. And I'm going to tie it into politics. A lot of people can't do this. You have a lot of these individuals. Now, I know the Ravens, they had good defenses, but a lot of their coaches were poached off by other teams. Some of these defensive coordinators, like Aaron Glenn, who was of the Detroit Lions last year, good defensive coach. Van Joseph, who's back with Denver, it's a good defensive coach. But some of these coordinators will not make good head coaches. Now, remember when Sean Payton, who used to coach the New Orleans Saints, is now coaching the Denver Broncos. He was on the staff when the Baltimore Ravens and New York Giants played in the Super Bowl back in 2001, Super Bowl 35. I remember when Bill Belichick, believe it or not, he played under Bill Parcells, the tuna. But he made a good head coach. Bill Belichick ended up going to Cleveland. And then when Cleveland went to Baltimore, Baltimore had a reset, new name and everything. And what I'm saying is, even with sports, that's what we're getting right now in today's society. Now, the reset is okay, we've seen enough of this wokeness, it's delusional, all the name calling. We've seen enough of hearing about toxic masculinity. We want to reset and go to something different. Because what we have right now is not working, and it hasn't worked. In fact, it's caused a lot of chaos. And that's what individuals have to understand. We are shifting. Now, the shift that I see, it might not be as progressive. See, the progressives want everything to go way left. I mean, where we live in anarchy, where there's, it's funny how the left talks about, no. We want government to be involved in everything. No, they want government to be involved in every aspect of our lives unless it's their lives. What they want is to do what they want to do. This is why the Democrats are flying off the handle. They're going out there, setting death threats against a lot of the conservatives out there, because the Democrats don't have anything that we don't know about. Because if you look at what they do, every election is, if you want to get the black people, use the word racism. And now you got the Somalis. Oh, well, you're racist. You're racist. Now, again, I'm not blaming all the Somalis for the child care fraud, but it has come out. And Tim Walz, he said this. It's funny. Tim Walz is not running for a third term. That's one point where I found out he's guilty. But number two, Tim Tampon Walz said that white men create corruption. Oh, well, you told on yourself because you're a white man and the corruption was going on under your nose and you were probably part of it and you're a white man. Yeah, white men do create corruption. You have some black people with corruption as well. Gary, Indiana. Karen, I believe her name was Friedman. Oh, she had some money issues. Tiffany, she's out of Illinois. There was another one down in New Orleans. So the corruption's within the blacks as well. And you have to look at politicians, most of them are dirty. I shouldn't say most of them, but a number of them are dirty. But when you have people who are low informed, they will take what these politicians say with a grain of salt and believe it. And the bottom line with the Democratic Party, they want to get all the low IQ people on deck because the low IQ people believe what the Democrats say. The Democrats' playbook is to divide and conquer. And let me tell you how they're doing that. If you look at the Democratic Party right now, they're nothing but a bunch of forced, delusional diversity coalitions. Forced, delusional diversity coalitions. And here's where I'm coming with that. They have a number of your feminists, your blacks. Don't see a lot of Asians, but you have a number of Asians. Your feminist women. You have some of your Jewish in there. I mean, it's either by race, it's by gender, and it's by sexual orientation. And what the Democrats are doing, they're making everybody believe that they are diverse, and they're putting them in positions that they don't qualify for. Whereas in the Republican Party, I know Donald Trump doesn't have many black people in his cabinet. Not that he's not racist. He does have one, I believe his name is Scott, who's the HUD director. But what Donald Trump has done, you don't have to agree with what Donald Trump is doing, but he has been an executive. And what he wants to see is more private sector involvement. I live here in Indiana. And if you really want a business, you don't want to deal with the strife of the unions until you go to the northwestern part of Indiana, like Lake County and Porter County and LaPorte County and Newton, Jasper, and Stark County. And the reason why those counties are heavily involved with unions is because of Chicago. But for the most part, if you work for the government here in the state of Indiana, like politicians, no politicians here, politics or politicians, except for the governor and the lieutenant governor, they're not full-time jobs, which that's another thing. Politics should not be a full-time job. It's the only time you should be working. You should get a stipend for coming in there when you're having your congressional meetings and like a corporation. How often does a board of directors meet? Yeah, they get paid. But the United States is like a corporation. But you have individuals who don't know how the corporation works. I was watching Will Smith. He had his MAGA hat on. And you have all these ignorant white people calling a black man out because he had a MAGA hat on, trying to tell him, I'm going to whoop your ass. You need to get off the street. See, this is what the left is about. They're trying to bully everybody. You know why they do that? Because nobody agrees with the left's view of the culture. That's why. So the left, what they try to do is use bully tactics. They try to use threats. They try to tell you what to wear, what you cannot wear. They think they're better. And this is the problem. This is what's made the United States an upside down country. And it all starts when you don't have men leading. A number of men have turned into simps. And that is in every race. They've allowed women to take control. And when women take control of something, women aren't really, they can get on television and tell you, oh, yeah, we're about economy. No, they're not. Most women are about hating Trump, particularly your liberal white women. They're more about hating Trump. They're more about the government, equality, equity. Your number of women, oh, we want equity. And many of them don't even know what equity is. Many of them don't read. Many of them regurgitate what they hear. That's the big problem. And black people, the ones who are for the immigrants, and I'm just going to say this about the illegal immigrants. If you Americans, see, back in the days, if you said something about your own country, in your country, you're a traitor. And in the military, they don't like traitors. But see, a lot of people on the left, they don't serve anything. They believe that everything should be given to them. I'm not saying everybody on the left is bad. I mean, you do have some lefties like Doug Schoen, who's a Democratic strategist. He makes some sense. But you got people like Robert Reich, who used to get on Bill O'Reilly. He sounded like he made sense, but he's a socialist. Now, Bernie Sanders, he's a, I will give Bernie Sanders this. He'll tell you what it is and who he is. He wants a socialist government. That's why he'll never be elected. Now, Mamdani, we haven't seen his policies yet, but if Mamdani doesn't live up to his promises, and here's what people don't know about what went on in New York. Most of the people who actually voted for Mamdani, they were foreigners. A lot of your New Yorkers, they weren't from Mamdani. They weren't. But see, the mainstream media is not going to tell you that. The mainstream media, what the Democrats do, you get all these individuals who sit on panels on the mainstream media. And the View is part of the mainstream media. And if you disagree with their views, they can't win the argument. So what they're going to do, they're going to call you a fascist. They're going to do everything they can to shut the argument down. Just like I was watching a channel called The Gospel of Tommy Sotomayor. What they did, they took clips from Tommy Sotomayor's channel. They put it up there, and they had this black woman on, and they were talking about Tommy's videos. Of course, it's a black woman. And I'm not knocking all black women, but a number of them always want to be right. So the way a number of black women know how to shut the argument down is, oh, well, no, that's your view. I don't have to see it the way you see it. It ain't about seeing it the way I see it. It's that's the view. That's the standard. They always want to move the goalposts to be right. And this is where you heard the old shame, insult, guilt, and need to be right. That's where that came from. But I'm going to put my spin on that. This is where you hear the lies, the emotion, the assumption, and the delusion and the deception. Some of them have disease. That's the lead. That's what that is. But the mainstream media is driving all of this because everything that gets put on mainstream media and some social media, like your TikTok. This is why all the boys, and shout out to people like McKee's Mo TV, and shout out to Mr. O with the info, Salty Balls, Brother Tito, and Black Ram. Kind of funny. They've been doing, and even Anton might disagree with what Anton says sometimes, but he's been up here on YouTube for a long time. And that's the thing too. What has to change about YouTube. Now I know I have a small channel, almost 2,300 subscribers. I've been up here. I'm on my going on my 10th year this year on YouTube, still up here. And I remember I had some individuals that told me I wasn't built for this. Well, if I wasn't built for this, I'm still up there. And guess what? Really haven't changed my value system that much. They have tweaked it a little bit. I still believe in the real red pill. I still believe that there are simps out here. There are a lot of simps out here. And when I'm talking about the reset, if you're a man and you understand the red pill is a good reset. It's like like I like I'm telling you about sports. Sometimes in life you need a reset because what you were doing led up to, well, if I don't make a change, I'm either snap or I'm either I'm gonna go in the right direction or I'm gonna snap. But you have to look at what you left behind, the crumbs, the evidence. And for the most part, you have a number of individuals who really want populism, and they don't even know what populism is. Trump is a populist president. Now, what Trump has done, he took a lot of the Democratic philosophies and brought it over to the Republican Party. Because if you really look at the Republican Party used to be the party of the rich. But I hear the Democrats talk about the oligarchs. The Democrats have a lot of oligarchs. Most of your entertainers are rich. Your athletes are rich. But they always make out the other side to be rich. And the ones who are actually utilizing all the isms like racism, it's the left. In fact, you even had white liberals out there, if you're black and you have a different point of view, they'll even call you a sellout. And see, the white liberals believe in white supremacy even more. And here's why, because they want to lecture you like they know better than you know. But what the white supremacists on the left are doing, they're really coming out as a guilty party. Well, if you are white and they talk about the ancestry of having slave owners, because I know I was talking to my mom the other day, and she was saying I went over to Africa, and she was making it out like, well, went over there, and some of the Africans, well, your ancestry. I'm like, well, how do you know I came from Africa? Probably did. But how do you know that we don't have some Haitian? See, this is what blacks don't know either. We all assume now, of course, and I've been over to Africa, and everybody in Africa is not light skinned. Now, Egypt used to have or dark skin. Most people, when you talk about Africa, they're talking about Kenya and Nigeria and Liberia, but they're not talking about the other countries. Africa has 52 countries in that one continent. But you hear them talking about places like Mozambique. Africa is really poor in some countries. They have some modernized areas, they have some poor areas, just like the United States. But the bottom line is you don't hear about everything in Africa because it's not put out that way. And see, this is what the mainstream media has a problem with. The mainstream media only puts out what they want you to know. This is why you need to do more observation on your own. That's the real point of getting information. Information can be wrong. You have to find out where to get the information. And You don't need to repeat it. A lot of people regurgitate what they hear on CNN. And again, there's some blacks up here who get their information from CNN and put it out there like it's valuable information. CNN is not valuable. This is why I don't watch it. I mean, if I don't watch Fox, I'm not going to watch CNN. Mainstream media is gone. It's gone. The real media is right here. And the funny thing about it is, you may take one channel down, but there are quite a few that come up. Can't get everybody. The word is still going to go around. This is why I said below, well, I said last week, 2 weeks ago, it's better to have a number of little channels that are putting out the real information than to have one big channel. Why? Because they can take down one big channel. And even with YouTube, you have people out here who have big channels. They have a lot of subscribers. But you have to look at the subscriber ratio to the view ratio. Well, some of the individuals, they may have a lot of subscribers, but how many subscribers really support their channels? Some individuals will subscribe to your channel just to troll. You have to look at, okay, what kind of audience do you have? See, I would rather have a small, smart audience than have a bunch of dumb people come up as my audience members. Can't have a conversation with stupid people. That's the fact. And this is what YouTube has. Have a number of people who come up here. They want to have an opinion. And see, this is another thing that's coming as a reset. All this rubbish, using a Britain term now, it's going to be washed out because it's false. Trump brought in the concept of fake news. That's a reset. Again, people like me who are men, we believe in the economy. We believe in business. We believe in ownership. Again, most of the women don't. The biggest issue, and this is why Trump lost the House and Senate in 2022. Actually, 2018, because the women voted for abortion. And you have women who don't even have kids who voted for the abortion issue. This is why women shouldn't vote. They don't vote on meaningful issues. They vote on emotional issues. I mean, you don't have a kid and you're voting for abortion. And see, a number of them wanted abortion so they can go and fuck around and do what they want to do. That's what they want. They don't want to have the concept, and shout out to my brother Guy King and Matt Coley. We had conversations about this. If you're a guy out there, don't stick your dick in everything. Learn how to value your seed. Because a lot of you guys popping and dropping your seed into an ungrateful bitch. That's what you all are doing. And then when she puts you in the system, takes a lot of your money, you're upset with every woman. No. You should be upset with yourself. Snoop Dogg said this in a song. Ain't no pussy good enough to get your wallet up in it. It's true. But you have a number of guys out here still simping, leading with their wallet, tricking. Now, it's okay if you guys do it. I don't believe in doing it because a woman's going to look at you. And this is another thing that I do see that's changing with some guys are reset. They're not going out on dates with a number of women. This is the societal part. They're not taking women out on dates. They're not thinking about, not only the young guys, but young guys are starting to wise up. And then when the guys start to wise up, here's the thing. The women don't want the guys catcalling them because then they're going to say the guys are harassing them. So then the guys don't give them any attention. What do they call the guys? Incels. I would rather be an incel than catcalling somebody that's ungrateful or somebody that doesn't deserve any attention at all. That's a reset. And it's going to happen. And there are going to be more and more black people. See, the older black people and some of your so-called pro-blacks, I'm going to call those pro-blacks, I'm going to put them in there with the older blacks, the plantation blacks, because I'm pro-black, and I'm not going to be on anybody's plantation. Too smart to be on somebody's plantation. But I will tell you this. When you're black in this country, what you need to think about, particularly as a black man, you need to start thinking about yourself. Now, if you have a woman, and here's the thing that you need, you can, and I made mistakes like this myself. I'll be the first one to tell you. I let outside influences almost destroy me. Don't let outside influences destroy you. Talk about the women, your family. You should concentrate on yourself. And if you do get a woman in your life, make sure she's down with what you're going for. If she's not going to be your helpmate, then you can do two things. You can pop and drop, or you don't deal with her at all. I'd rather deal with the latter. Don't deal with her at all. You don't want to get yourself in a chaotic situation. And this is part of the reset. And of course, there's some Gen Zs and some Gen Alphas actually coming up with this thing. See, Gen Xers, many of us, well, we didn't know about this stuff because we were passed down the wrong information. Now, I will say this about we criticize the baby boomers, but I will say this about a number of the baby boomer women. Yeah, they could have been a handful, but a number of them, particularly the older baby boomer women, they did cook and they did clean. These Gen X women ain't about shit. They're the ones, when I was growing up, or when I was in my 20s and 30s and the 90s, they were the ones on Ricky Lakes. They were the ones on the Maury Povages. They were the ones on the Montel Williams shows. They were the ones on the Rolanda Watts shows, the Oprah shows, the Jenny Jones, the Sally Jesse Raphael show, on all these talk shows. These are the Gen X women. You may have had some baby boomer women, but most of them were Gen X women. They were on Donahue, and they were beating the hell down on black men. And of course, they were beating the hell down on white men too, when you saw a number of them on Jerry Springer as well. The bottom line is the information only went one way. It was on mainstream. Men, for the most part, didn't have a voice, particularly black men. Now, on YouTube, when it first came out, most of us Gen Xers were on YouTube. Here's the problem. The gender war started because we were pushing back on what the black women were saying about black men in the 90s. See, we got the microphone too little too late, and a number of the black women couldn't deal with the pushback that we were giving them. So what did they do? They had us all canceled like cowards because they wanted to keep the narrative one way, like it was back in the 90s. Is it working? It is working, but you have too many guys out here who have women on the panel. That's a detriment. And if I ever do panels again, I won't even have women on the panel. And I'm going to pick the panel that I want. And if it's an echo chamber, it's an echo chamber because I want individual. First of all, here's another thing about reset. You need to interact with individuals that you click with, that you see eye to eye with. If it's somebody that you're going to have constant conflict with, you don't need that because all that's going to do is it's going to be chaotic. And when something's chaotic, it's going to be stressful. And see, what I see is, black man, what I've gotten into is gotten to be more patient, learning how to be a better speaker. And in society, we have to know how to interact better. Like I see some of these black football players out here. And I watch Lamar Jackson talk. Don't give him the microphone. Some of these Negroes do not know how to handle a microphone when it's put in front of them. Now, the guy that does know how to handle it, they thought he was stupid. He's a very smart guy. He's on Thursday Night Football. He played for Seattle, and I like him. Patrick Sherman, very smart guy. He needs to teach these brothers how to speak on a microphone. But some of these brothers, when they get on a microphone, they can't speak. That's an issue. So, again, when I look at everything right now, we're going through a reset. But I still don't agree with individuals out here, and I have to repeat this. Why are a number of you knucklehead liberals? You believe in Mamdani, you believe in Madero. Now, Mamdani might fool you guys. Now, we're going to watch him closely. But Madero, and I just want to say, good luck to you Venezuelans. Enjoy that freedom. And when you get it, you fight for it. Don't let any American come down to your country from here to tell you how great communism is when they never lived in communism. Some of you individuals from Cuba and all you communist countries, you need to grab the microphone and come and talk to a lot of Americans, particularly your liberal Americans. Tell them what communism really is, what socialism really is, what it's done to your life. Tell them how good it is. Yeah, it sounds good, but in the end, it will keep you poor. But see, you got a lot of dumb Americans out here who don't know that. I mean, they actually believe that communism will make everything equal. No, communism, it might make everything equal amongst the people, but you're still a peasant class. Communism and socialism going to keep you on a peasant class. Yeah, socialism, you can own things, but it'll eventually erode away into communism. Because when you have communists, the people who are in power, they're going to be corrupted. Now, you talk about capitalism. Yeah, does capitalism work? Yeah, it works. Are there greedy people in capitalism? Yes, there are greedy people in capitalism. But the bottom line, can you get your own a lot faster in capitalism than you can in communism and socialism? Yes, you can. The bottom line is it takes knowing how the world works. Now, unfortunately, the reset is coming to where, okay, AI. The individuals who understand AI are going to have a job. The people who don't, they're going to have to try to find something else. Now, I'm not saying that STEM is for everybody, but there's one thing that everybody should know how to do if they can do it. Learn how to use the computer. And don't tell me that, well, everybody doesn't have a computer. You've got people in the hood and in the trailer park with an iPhone. And that iPhone is a computer. If you could go out there and get on TikTok, get on Instagram on your phone, you've already won part of the battle of getting information. And then you have to know where to get your information from. And this is America resetting. And most people, what's happening now, they're afraid to go through a little bit of pain. You want to know how pain can grow into something positive? Let's say you haven't used a certain set of muscles for a while. And then you go and exercise and you start using those muscles. Well, they're going to be sore for a little bit. But once you continuously use them, they're not going to be as sore anymore. Why? Because you went through the pain to get to where you feel better about exercising or you're better about exercising. Well, here in America, it's the same way. You are going to have to feel some pain. And this is what a number of people are afraid to do. You hear the affordability. Well, the Democrats really don't want affordability. They want you to think they want affordability. See, the Democrats want you to think that they care about you. They're a little bit more friendlier than the other side is, but they're very cunning at the same time. But see, because the Democrats know how to get into the emotions of people, particularly black people, well, for the most part, black people are going to believe the Democratic side. But here's the real issue. Donald Trump said what he got to lose. Told that to black people. Because you've been voting Democrat all your life. And what have the Democrats given you? Nothing but promises. It's like a glass. You see a glass. The Democrats promise to fill it up with water. Well, they might give you drops to say you have water, but in the end, you're still thirsty. But see, they still want you to depend on them. And see, when you depend on somebody that's giving you something, they control it. And when it comes to religion, the reason why I don't believe in religion is there to control the masses. Religion is just like government. Religion is one of the 5 power conferences of society. Choose to control. Now, I believe you have to have men. Men cannot be afraid to be men. Really want to reset, men have to go back to being men. Stop kowtowing to a woman so you can get sex from her. If men get on their purpose, continue to create a structure, I don't care if it's called patriarchy or not. You put the women in charge of everything, it all gets screwed up. Because women are about revenge. Can't give women power. They'll take advantage of it. Give a number of these liberal white women power, we'll all be in slavery. Because they don't know how to lead. It's not made for them to lead. I know Tommy had a white woman on his show one time. She said, I'm half a man. You half a man? See, they'll tell you dumb shit like that. And social media just creates a lot of stupid people. That's the real problem with social media. Creates people that never know what the hell they're talking about. But the Great Reset, like I'm seeing this week in football, the Ravens got to reset with a new coach. Venezuela, they got to reset with a new government. Heck, when they took Saddam out, they had to do it in Iraq. Iran over there. Man, you got to reset. The culture's got to reset itself. Because what we have as far as the woke culture has failed everybody. We need to go back to a little bit more of a structured society. We need to get rid of this fake diversity. Now, I'm not saying diversity doesn't mean anything. And then some of you Somalis up there, You know you're guilty. Why are you questioning this man, Nick, for asking you about child care, the fraud? And it's already been put out there. You look at your boy in Minnesota, he's not running again. Tim Walz, because he's going to get eaten alive. They're going to question him about that. And Mamdaro, Donald Trump caught him. He caught him. Now, I know the Democrats are mad because some of the Democrats may have gotten some of that drug money, but in black neighborhoods. But the Democratic Party, we need a great reset. We don't need them in power. You put them in power, they're going to set us back. What America needs to do to continue to be a better country, we need a reset. Not like Donald Trump, but change is painful, whether it goes the wrong way or the right way. The bottom line is you always want to set yourself up to succeed. And we need to get it back to where we have structure. Structure has always worked. We don't need a backward society. The culture is going backwards. We need the pendulum to swing back around. Because if it doesn't, we're going to be living in an anarchy. People are going to do whatever they want, and they're going to destroy each other. White people are already destroying each other. They are, and they don't know it. Black people keep following the white supremacists out here, going to be on a plantation. So what I'm saying is this. When it comes to sports, politics, culture, and society, there's always going to be a reset. Why? Because you need to cleanse the earth of all the filth. The earth even cleanses itself. That's why they have violent weather. But in the end, the actions speak louder than words. When it comes to what's going on right now, it's not working. But I do see changes. But we have to make sure that we vote for the right people. We have to be the right people. Because in essence, we don't want dictatorships. And for you liberals out there, if you love immigration so much, why don't you go to those other countries? Why don't you go see how well communism is run? Then come back and talk to us. You're not going anywhere because you benefit off of the Americans. If Trump was passing out money, you're going to hate Trump, but you're going to take that money. Bottom line is, the Democrats' playbook is they're always going to utilize race, gender, and sexual orientation. Because in the end, they have no policies except to hate Trump. But in the end, America is resetting, getting rid of all that old culture. I can see it. It's going to take time. But keep on bringing in the correct information to destroy that liberal narrative. Because in the end, the truth is always going to set you free. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. And if you're looking for some STEM content, you check out the QCIS channel. On that channel, I give you a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. And this is my first video for 2026. And I want to say this. Not here to offend people. I'm here to teach. So if you're offended by what I say, then make the changes within yourself to be a better person. If you're not, then you don't have to volunteer any information. And then don't be jealous of what somebody else has, because materialism doesn't mean that you are better than the next person who has less than what you have. But if you do have something and it's working and you're living a fulfilling life, I'm just going to say this: always be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Just know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if the shoe fits, wear that shoe. And if you don't like the shoe, it's very easy. Use your common sense and just change the shoe. And once again, thank you for viewing and listening to this commentary on the 411 Talk Zone radio show. Oh, forgot to tell you, here's where you can find me. For the 411 Talk Zone radio show channel, you can find me on YouTube. You can find me on X, formerly Twitter. You can find me on Rumble. And you can also find me on True Social. And for the QCIS channel, you can find me on X, formerly Twitter. You can find me right here on YouTube. And you can find me on LinkedIn. And again, thank you once again for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you all to have a wonderful and gracious evening. God bless you. I'm out.